Hey, hello everyone, my name is Chris and welcome back to another game review. Today I'm gonna be reviewing S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky, and as usual I'm quickly gonna go through the story of this game to tell in short what this game is all about. Then I'm gonna share my own opinions and thoughts about this game, so in case you didn't play it, one big spoiler alert across the screen. And yeah guys, just click away from this video and come back after you play a game. If you want to, if you don't want to, you don't have to, it's totally okay. But if you really are interested in my opinions and thoughts about this game right now, then stay with me till the end of this video and let's get started. Alright guys, S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky is a open world survival RPG first person shooter that was developed by GSC Game World. It was developed in X-Ray Engine and the game was released in 2008. So S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky guys is actually a prequel to S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl. So the events and the story of S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky take place before the events of the first game, which is Shadow of Chernobyl once again. And this time you play as a different character. You play as a mercenary S.T.A.R that at the beginning of the game is leading the expedition of scientists through the zone and its wilderness, and that's when this blowout happens. It's basically an emission, some sort of wave, electromagnetic wave that the zone just releases. It's an impulse and it absolutely obliterates and kills everyone if they don't seek cover and shelter in time before it happens. And the entire expedition basically dies except S.T.A.R. So he survives the mission and then he is rescued by the Clear Sky faction. Now Clear Sky faction is a small faction that is located at the southern part of the zone, and the faction is pretty small but very effective because their purpose is to take care of the zone and to explore the zone and what is going on with it. You know, they're taking care of it. They're trying to find the scientific explanation about everything that is going on around the zone. So the Clear Sky guys are actually good guys. They're like more scientists oriented faction, and they rescue S.T.A.R, and that's where S.T.A.R meets the Lebda, which is the leader of Clear Sky faction, and he's surprised how he survived the mission. After he rescues him, he sends him on a little mission to help out some fellow stalkers that are being attacked by the mutants. And while on that task, yet another mission occurs and S.T.A.R survives it yet again and is once again brought back to the Clear Sky base. And that's when Lebda realizes that S.T.A.R apparently has some sort of supernatural ability where he's able to survive these emissions, and he's very surprised by that. So he believes that S.T.A.R is somehow connected to the zone and is answer to everything that is going on, and he decides to send him on a mission to figure out what is causing these blowouts, these powerful emissions around the zone, and he needs to stop it because he is also dying. His central nervous system has been damaged from those two blowouts, and if it happens again, he's most likely going to die. So S.T.A.R doesn't really have much of a choice than to accept the task given by Lebdev from two purposes. One is to obviously to save his life, and the second one is to save everyone else's life around the zone and stop those blowouts and figure out what is going on. And now, while on the mission to figure out what is going on, he starts to track down some guy that was collecting the components deeper into the zone and was progressing deeper into the zone. And as the game goes on, you realize that that was actually S.T.A.L.K.E.R, which is the character from the first game, the character you play with in the first game. and this is actually going on, like I said before, the first game. So this is going on the first time the S.T.A.L.K.E.R reached the center of the zone, and you know, he realizes that the S.T.A.L.K.E.R and his crew are responsible for causing these blowouts around the zone, and he needs to stop S.T.A.L.K.E.R and his crew from causing more damage. And that is pretty much what explains how S.T.A.L.K.E.R ended up on this truck in the first game with amnesia, and the ending of S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky is actually the beginning of S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl. And everything actually makes sense once you finish S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky. You actually start to understand the beginning of the first game. And in short, that's the story of S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky. Now, my opinions about this game's story are pretty positive. I think the story is fine, it's on the place, but honestly, the first game kinda had more interesting story to me. It kinda had more mystery, and just the atmosphere of the story felt much more interesting to me. You know, I'm not saying that the S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky doesn't have an interesting story. It still has that, you know, mystery element where you try to figure out what is causing these blowouts and what's going on around the zone, who's responsible for that, and what's gonna happen. All that is still there, but what I'm saying is that I personally enjoyed a bit more of Shadow of Chernobyl's story. I think it kinda has more soul to it, you know, it's more atmospherical story with more darker mystery, you know, and yeah, that's it. But overall, the story of Clear Sky is not bad. It was pretty enjoyable. Alright guys, so gameplay of S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky of course brings some changes to the game. Not any major changes, I would say, but some little changes that kinda made the game a little bit more interesting, and it kinda makes more sense, I guess. So, one of the first things that you're gonna notice about S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky is that the game graphically looks much better than the first game, but I'm gonna leave that for the end of this video. The major change, gameplay change they made in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky is that they added like mechanic that can upgrade your weapons and armor. So in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky, you're finally able to kind of modify your weapons and you can upgrade your armor. So it only takes money, you know, and you can even find like these little side quests that basically are collecting like parts, you know, or information for the upgrades, and then you can get the better upgrades. So they kind of changed how the game works a little bit. Money now has much higher value, it's way harder to obtain. Items cost much more at the traders. They're crazy expensive. The weapons you find around and sell are not gonna be sold for very good money. They're very cheap when you sell them, but if you want to buy something, it's gonna be crazy expensive. So obtaining money in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky is much harder, and automatically with that, game makes much more sense. Before you could just, you know, bring a bunch of guns, you know, and sell them for good money, and money was pretty easily obtained in the first game, and because of that the game was kinda easy. It wasn't really challenging, you know. You could always have a bunch of supplies and stuff, you know. It didn't really had worth. Money didn't feel like it had any worth. You could find a bunch of these artifacts around very easily, and you could sell them just like that. All that it has been changed in Clear Sky. You know, the money is now much harder to obtain. Side quests kind of make much more sense. They're not that boring anymore, even though they can be pretty repetitive again. Another big change they made is when it comes to the UI. So UI on PDA has been changed. The UI in game has been slightly changed. You know, it looks different, but a UI on the PDA, once you turn it on, is much better. You know, now you have a separate place where you have side quests and where you have main quests, so you can easily tell which is which. And you know, UI and PDI just generally look much clearer and better in Clear Sky. They also added a faction wars option, so now you're finally able to join faction in Clear Sky, which you weren't able to do in the first game, or maybe you did, I'm not really sure. I never had an option to join any faction in the first game. Maybe I was doing something wrong, correct me. But in the second game, after you do some quests for these factions, you can actually join them, and then I guess that can change the ending of the game or something. There is also a bunch of different endings depending on the choices you make and things you do in the game. So yeah, another big thing they finally added is fast travel. So fast travel system is finally on the point in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky. What I absolutely love about it is that it's not free. So you actually have to pay money for a guide to lead you to the location to fast travel. And the further location is, the more money it's gonna cost. So it's super cool how it works. Again, it makes money more valuable in the game. It makes much more sense. Also, looting element is still there. You know, the game still has inventory system where you have to open up an inventory and use the items. They also made a change with medical supplies and how they work. For example, bandages won't refill your health anymore. They're only used for stopping bleeding now, and you will have to use food and like medical supplies like first aid kits and stuff to actually heal up. So bandages no longer will patch you up like in the first game, and I think that's pretty cool. It actually makes sense. You know, how can bandage heal? You know, it's an item for stopping bleeding, and it's pretty cool how they actually thought of that idea. It's more realistic in the same time, so it kind of makes more sense. And bandages, trust me or not, are super hard to obtain actually in Clear Sky. They're way less obtainable. It's really hard to find some bandages. They're super expensive at a trader and a shopkeeper, like when you try to buy them. And trust me, you will want to save these bandages, and you will try not to get shot that many times in the combat, because you can run out of bandages pretty quickly, and it can actually be a huge problem, which wasn't the case in the first game. The medical supplies are much easier to find in the first game. And in Clear Sky, that's not the case anymore. They're also made medical supplies much rarer. And again, I really love how that adds to that survival element of the game. Environment in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky is still random. You're still going to see factions fighting each other around the zone. You can still get jumped by all kinds of creatures and mutants. And you know, you still have that approach where you can choose, do you want to be neutral with factions, do you want to become enemies. You know, now like I said, they have that faction war thing where you can like choose who you want to be friendly towards, who you want to help, who you don't want to help. So it kind of adds a bit of that like role play, and you know, that interesting part of the game where you can make friends with the AI and all that kind of stuff. AI also has advanced. They can now throw frags at you. I didn't really notice they're any smarter in combat, but they can throw frags at you, and oh boy, they're very precise with those grenades. They will throw them directly at you and they will fuck you up. So the AI is just crazy with those grenades, and sometimes it can be very frustrating. Selective dialogues are still a thing in this game, but what I do like is that the characters are more voiced, so you don't really have to read that much things off the screen. You actually can hear characters talking more. You know, they voiced characters a bit more, which is also a plus. You can still find these secret stashes around the map. They also reduce the amount of them. You know, before, when you open the map in the first game, your map would be flooded with these secret stash icons. That's not the case anymore. They're like much rarer now, and sometimes you're gonna run into some of these, and they are actually worth looting. They actually can have some more valuable gear than in the first game, which is also a nice fix. Another pretty cool thing they added is actually a working detector. Before, like I said, in the first game you could find these artifacts scattered around the map pretty easily and just sell them for good money, while in Clear Sky that's not the case anymore. You actually have to press the button to pull out your working detector out, and you have to actually walk around and listen to the sound of the detector and watch it signaling where the artifact is located, and then it just kind of pops out of the ground and you can pick it up and sell it. And they are extremely valuable. They cost much more money than in the first game, which of course makes sense. You know, these artifacts are way harder to find, and you have different types of detectors that you can find through the game and buy. They all have different statistics, you know, they do different things. Some are better, some are worse, so there's a few different types of these detectors. It's much better, you know. I really like that detail that they added actually a working detector where you have to walk around with it to find these artifacts. You can also run into these chill guitar scenes where you can see AI playing guitars. Somehow they reduce the amount of the AI playing guitars, which is it kind of feels sad, you know, because this was one of the things that I really enjoyed about in the first game. But in the Clear Sky, it's much rarer sight to see an NPC playing a guitar. They also added some new soundtracks that the characters can play on these guitars. Some of them are still there from the first game, you know. You'll recognize them pretty easily. It still feels pretty cool, you know, to see, you know, stalkers playing with guitars around the zone and sitting around the campfire. It just adds that atmospheric level to the game. In general, atmosphere in Clear Sky is pretty good, but honestly I enjoyed it more in the first game. You know, I'm not saying Clear Sky doesn't have a good, you know, Stalker vibe and the atmosphere, but you know, it was just kind of more convincible in the first game. It was just kind of darker, and I don't know, the first game kind of had more original vibe to it. You know, it kind of had more original atmosphere. It feels like they focused a lot on these gameplay changes where they wanted to improve the things that they kind of missed in the first game, and then in the same time they kind of forgot about the atmosphere, you know, and they kind of abandoned the atmosphere a little bit aside and forgot about it, and that kind of ruined the game slightly. You know, I just think that the atmosphere was much better in general in the first Stalker game. So yeah, last thing I would mention is like combat in the game. I think it's pretty much the same as in the first game. Like I said, NPCs now can throw grenades at you, but the major change is like in the like animations, and the animations are much better. Everything is much better animated in Clear Sky, you know, and your guns finally feel more accurate. They're still pretty inaccurate. Shooting still kind of feels clunky, but compared to the first game, that also has been a lot fixed. You know, now when you fix your weapon when it's in a bad condition, you can now fix your weapons at the mechanic, and they're gonna be actually accurate, and your bullets are actually gonna go where you're shooting. But if a weapon gets damaged, it's also gonna get again inaccurate. Like I said, it's still clunky. Combat feels still clunky. The guns are still extremely inaccurate, and sometimes it's just silly. You literally point the gun at your enemy's face and you miss from like a few meters because I don't know where the bullets go. It's still clunky, but compared to the first game, it's much better. Honestly, it feels much better, and with the new animations and everything, it feels much better. You know, I like the blur effect they added, you know, when you reload your guns. It just kind of focuses on your gun. You can see the cool animation when you reload, and then, you know, it goes back, focuses on the screen. You know, it's not blurred anymore. So that's a pretty cool detail that I've noticed they also added in the second game. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it about the changes, and pretty much what made the Clear Sky gameplay more different than the first game. Everything else is pretty much as it was. In general, like I said, the atmosphere in the first game was generally better, but there are many gameplay improvements in Clear Sky that made game better and more interesting, and I guess it's a plus. And for the end, let's talk about graphics and optimization of S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky. I'm gonna first go with the optimization because I think that's the biggest change when it comes to that. In first S.T.A.L.K.E.R game, S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl, you could see bodies of dead NPCs often clipping through walls, getting stuck on textures, making weird sounds. You know, boxes flying around randomly, getting stuck into textures. You know, there was some visual bugs, you know, and glitches in the game. I definitely noticed that in the first game. And in Clear Sky, I can't actually remember noticing anything like that. So they definitely fixed it all up. It's improved. The game is much more improved. There is no frame drops or anything like that, no stuttering. That wasn't the case with the first game either, but I'm just, you know, saying it's not the case with the second game either. It's much better optimized from, you know, buggy and glitchy side. They definitely fixed it up. The major difference between first and second game are definitely visuals and graphics. Clear Sky looks much better than the first game. It's definitely a noticeable difference. There is a bunch of new cool effects, facial expression animations on the characters when they're talking, general animations on characters and your character when you're doing things, moving around, reloading your weapons. Environment looks much better. There's definitely more pixels on the screen. Colors are looking better, more believable. Textures in general are much more beautiful and improved compared to the first game. So yeah, Clear Sky definitely looks much visually and graphically better than the first game. But I still don't feel like this is a game where I should talk about my PC specs, because this is a game from 2008. It's literally years old, and literally almost any modern setup can run this game on all ultra maxed out settings, on pretty much any resolution in 60 plus FPS. It's not a hardcore game for your hardware or whatever, so it's kind of stupid to talk about my PC specs. It's obvious that they obliterate this game, you know. But yeah, generally this game looks nice for a 2008 game. I can say that I definitely seen better games, graphically better games and visually better games in 2008. But you know, it's not bad either. This game doesn't look bad. It's one pretty game for a 2008 year, and it has some nice effects. Yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this game review. If you did, then go ahead and leave a like, share, comment, or subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can also join my Chris Facebook group. Link is down below in the description. I post all kind of stuff over there. Again, if you don't want to join, you don't have to. It's totally fine. I totally recommend you to check out all three S.T.A.L.K.E.R games. I'm gonna play S.T.A.L.K.E.R Call of Pripyat. That's the only one left before the second game actually comes out this year, hopefully. If you're into survival games, and you know, if you like games like, I don't know, DayZ or post-apocalyptic games, if you're a fan of pretty much any post-apocalyptic games, and you know, Chernobyl, Pripyat, and all these abandoned things and vibes, I totally recommend you to check out Stalker Clear Sky as well, together with other two Stalker games, Shadow of Chernobyl and Call of Pripyat. I think they're all three are great games. I haven't played Call of Pripyat yet, so I can't really tell, but I believe that it is going to be a great game. I heard great things about all three games, and these are the games that are pretty iconic in the gaming culture, pretty famous, and they're definitely worth playing. They're definitely worth your time, so check them out for yourself. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you. I appreciate all of your support and everything you've done for me and my channel so far. You're amazing. I'll definitely see you in the next videos. I love you, and yeah, Chris out.